And all this economic news, as new NBC News polling shows, Americans are not happy with President Trump's handling of the economy so far. 44% approve, while 54% disapprove. And the numbers are even worse on handling of inflation and cost of living specifically. Look at that, 42% approve and 55% disapprove. Joining us now, former Democratic Senator from Alabama, Doug Jones, and former Republican Congressman from Pennsylvania, Charlie Dent. Congressman Dent, Trump has never fared this poorly on the economy in a national NBC News poll. In fact, he's never been underwater. Of course, he's slammed polls before. He likes them when they're good. If polling reaches a critical mass, do you see him changing course at all, especially when this is supposed to be his issue?
Well, the polling numbers are certainly not very good for President Trump, specifically on the economy, for the reasons you just stated. First, we should note, too, that his numbers among independents are particularly bad. The country is hopelessly divided on a partisan basis. So a lot of Republicans, the base of the party, still supports Donald Trump. The Democrats, of course, very much oppose him. But it's these independent numbers that are really terrible for Donald Trump. And I do think he's going to need to change course. I'm not convinced that he will, because he absolutely believes these tariffs are going to somehow help grow the economy and lower prices, which really flies in the face of all the economic arguments we hear from people who understand these issues. So I think right now he's in some trouble. He needs to course correct.
Yeah, one other note that I had highlighted on my sheet, 54% of Americans say that the country is headed in the wrong direction right now. Senator Trump won the election largely because Americans weren't happy with the state of the economy under the Biden administration. Trump is now at his weakest on what has been one of his strongest issues.
Right.
How do Democrats pounce? Can they?
I think they absolutely can, but I don't think they can pounce by just simply pointing to the price of eggs today, because there's a lot of things that are going on. I think what the Democrats need to constantly do over and over is not necessarily talk about just now, but talk about all these other things that are giving Democrats and giving people in America a lot of concern. All the cuts to the jobs, all the chaos, the Ukraine situation, the Gaza situation, all of this, the entire CR. None of this is affecting household prices. None of this, nothing he is doing that is getting all in the news. The retribution, the firing of all of the folks that were part of investigations into him, that's not doing anything to help household income. It's not doing anything to help inflation. So I think that the Democrats need to every day, every time there is an issue that does not deal with what I now am saying, all politics is personal, they need to remind the American people about that and continue to do that over and over.
You touched on the thousands of federal workers being fired or feeling in limbo. Well, this new polling also shows Americans actually aren't against the concept of DOGE. 33%, in fact, said it should continue, as much more needs to be done. 28% said it is needed, but it should slow down to assess the impact. Yet we do know Americans don't love Elon Musk. 51% had a negative view of him, while Americans are largely supportive of federal workers. So, Congressman Dent, kind of a mixed bag there. Is there long-term danger for Republicans in this White House if they continue on the current path?
Of course. Look, if you ask a polling question, do you think that the government should become more efficient and we could engage in a strategic reduction in force? Overwhelmingly, Americans are going to say, yes, do it. I certainly support that. The problem for the Trump administration is that Elon Musk has been talking about chainsaws and wood chippers and has been carrying out this DOGE mission very inhumanely and cruelly. And I think a lot of Americans are appalled by that, and particularly as they see indiscriminate firings of people at the National Nuclear Security Administration or at the national parks, the guy who controls the keys to the bathrooms. I mean, there are all sorts of things where they're firing people and having to recall them. So they don't like the way this is done. So I think this is a real vulnerability for Republicans. And remember, too, most federal workers do not live in the D.C. area. They're scattered around the country. And so this is going to be a real problem for him. Musk is a liability given his high unfavorabilities at this point.
Senator, I want to pivot because I have to ask you about this social media post this morning. The president claiming President Biden's preemptive pardons of January 6th committee members and others are invalid because they were signed with an auto pen. He says they are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. Senator, you're a former federal prosecutor and constitutional lawyer. You know a thing or two about the law. Can he do this? Is AutoPen an issue?
No, hell no. I mean, that is as absurd as a president of the United States trying to hawk cars on the lawn of the White House. This has gotten to almost be a comedy routine sometimes between chainsaws and Teslas on the White House, and now something like this. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Everyone knows that any pardon like that would go through. It's not a problem. You know, this is just one sideshow after another. And Anna, I want to go back real quick though. And I know we don't have time, but as Charlie was saying, when people start connecting the dots between these cuts in the federal civil service and the things that affect them, for instance, we had a lot of lives saved this past weekend with those bad storms, thanks to NOAA and the National Weather Service. A lot of those people are going to be cut. FEMA's going to be cut. That's going to help, rebuild some of this. Those are the things that I think people are going to be really connecting those dots and are going to be very concerned about going forward.
Former Senator Doug Jones, former Congressman Charlie Dent, thank you both for the conversation. I appreciate you.